This conference will now be recorded.
Today, let us start off with one more new framework and very important one, that is Spring Framework. The main use of going with Spring Framework is Spring Framework is an open source Java platform that provides comprehensive infrastructure support for developing robust the applications. What we develop is robust applications for developing robust web applications and enterprise applications very easily and rapidly. So these web applications and enterprise applications we can develop what? Using Spring very easily and rapidly, and that too robust. Robust means what? Strong enough. The applications are very strong. Right? Just a second. Now, in this Spring, we are having one very important term called as dependency injection. We are having very important term called as what? Dependency injection. So this is the main important word in Spring. Dependency injection. Spring is mostly identified with dependency injection, which is a flavor of inversion of control, a reverse way of doing inversion of control. Right, which we call shortcut IOC. Now let us understand what is this dependency injection. So for that, let us go with an example. If you take a class employee and we are having a class department. In department class, we are creating employee object directly like this. Employee emp equal to new employee. Now in the test class, when you create department object, we are creating department object. And what is going to happen here is, here it is going to create department object. It is going to create department object, and inside this, as we said new employee, your employee object will be created under department. So these two objects we call it as tightly coupled. Coupled means dependent. These two objects here is what here? Tightly coupled. Coupled means dependent. So when you are having tight coupled applications, the applications are not robust, and performance wise they are very slow. So we should not go with tight coupled application. So creating object like this under a class is not at all good programming. This is not at all suggested way of writing the code. So what is the point here? In the above code, emp object and dept object are tightly coupled. What? Tightly coupled. Let us go with the next step. Let us go with the same class employee, then class department. In department, we create this employee as a property. So this one we call it as property. The data members only we call property. So we are just creating property of employee, and here we go with a constructor. Here we go with a constructor which takes this employee as argument, and we'll write this dot emp equal to emp. In the test class, we create employee object separately. In the test class, we create employee object separately and department object separately. And to the constructor of department, we pass our employee object as argument. But in this scenario, it is going to create employee object separately. It's going to create employee object separately and DEPT object separately. Now what is going to happen? We are giving this EMP object to department like this. We are giving this EMP object to department using a constructor. So this only we call dependency injection. This only we call it as what? Dependency injection. And in this case, these two objects are loosely coupled. So always we should go with the loose coupled applications. These two objects what here? They are loosely coupled here. So we should go with loose couple applications. Right? Now, in the above code, EMP object and DEPT object are loosely coupled. If you are using a constructor to give the value to property, we call it as constructor injection. We call it as what? Constructor injection. You can even go with like set EMP, which takes employee as argument, and we'll say this dot EMP equal to EMP. So if you are using a setter method to give the value to property, then we call setter injection. So in Spring, we can inject one object into another only in two ways. Either you can go with constructor injection or setter injection only. Either constructor or setter only. Now let us understand what is the need of Spring over here. Without using Spring also we can write all these codes. Then what is the need of going with Spring? Let us understand now. So for that, let us go with the concept here like life cycle of an object. What is life cycle of an object? We create the object, object creation, then object usage, then object destruction. So we create the object, use the object, and destruct the object. In case of Java, object destruction is taken care by Java only, as Java is what? Automatic garbage collection. We need not take care of object destruction. So in Java, object destruction is taken care by Java, as Java is automatic garbage collection. Now understand carefully. When you are creating objects in Java, the objects are created where? In heap memory, a part of RAM temporary memory. In Java, objects are created in heap memory. Right? Then, now let us suppose in the block of statements, block means what? This curly braces. This curly brace, we call it as what? Block or scope. Block or scope. In between this scope, let us suppose we are creating some objects like object 1, object 2, like that 100 objects we are creating. We are creating 100 objects. So when these objects are ready for garbage collection, when they come out of scope, the objects are ready for garbage collection here. Now let us suppose object usage is completed in between the scope only. In between the scope only, object usage is completed. Even though usage is completed, still it is going to use the memory unnecessarily. So like that, if you are having so many objects in your application which are using the memory unnecessarily, then the performance will get degraded. So you might have observed in your mobiles or laptop also, when you open a lot of applications, when the memory is full, the performance will get degraded. So same case happens here. So in order to develop efficient applications or in order to increase the performance, it is the responsibility of the programmer. It is the responsibility of the programmer. We have to identify the objects which are no longer used and make that objects ready for garbage collection. So programmer has to identify the objects which are no longer used and make that objects ready for what? Garbage collection. So here we'll say object equal to null. Then this object will be ready for garbage collection. So if you are going with the databases, we do the closing operation. No? Once the JDBC code is completed, we invoke close method, right? We go with close method. When we use con.close, then the connection will be ready for garbage collection. So we do the closing operations and we have to identify the objects which are no longer used and make that objects ready for garbage collection. This is the hectic part to the developers. This is the hectic part. So this is taken care by Spring here. So in Spring, this object destruction is taken care by Spring only. So Spring will take care of the complete life cycle of object. Means Spring will create object to you. Spring will create object to you and gives that object, and we have to just use the object. And Spring knows when your object is ready for garbage collection. Then once the usage is complete, Spring will take care of identifying that objects and makes that objects ready for garbage collection. So Spring will take care of this complete life cycle. Our work is only to use the object. So this is the main thing of using with Spring Framework. So what is the main use of Spring? In Spring, the life cycle of an object is taken care by Spring Framework. It's taken care by Spring Framework. In Spring, the objects are created using Spring Bean XML configuration file. In Spring, we create objects using what? Spring Bean XML configuration file. So this file is the major important thing to understand for us. How to create this file, how to create objects using this file. That's the main concept of today's class. Right? Any questions, anyone up to here? No. In this Spring, it goes with the modules like Spring modules. So we're having Spring Core or Bean module. This is the basic module which we covered today. The next important one is Spring DAO module. This is the very important one. Database connections here. So here it goes with 3 submodules like Spring JDBC module, Spring ORM module, Spring Data JPA module. Next one we go with the Spring MVC module. This is mainly used to develop web applications. Spring Boot module, very important one. Spring REST module. This is used to develop REST APIs. It's mainly for distribution. Distributed applications means one application can communicate to other application which are running in different servers using REST APIs. So the plan is like today we go with this core module, day 2 Spring JDBC, day 3 Spring ORM, day 4 Spring MVC, day 5 Spring Boot, and day 6, once we start Spring Boot, we'll be keep on using Spring Boot only. So nothing like Spring Boot is only one day, so we'll be keep on using. Then day 6 Spring Rest. Okay. Then when we go with the Spring Rest, there only we cover Spring.jpa module. So total 6 classes for us to complete this. And every day I want to take one module only, so that you can practice as it is and be ready for the next class. So I'll be doing only one module every day. Now, let us start developing the application. Developing a Spring application in Eclipse using Maven. The first step, create a Maven project. Create a Maven project. Open Eclipse. So I've taken a new workspace here, Spring. Let me close the welcome screen. Now create a Maven project like this. File, new Maven project. Click next. Then in catalog, choose internal. In artifact ID, choose Maven-archetype quick start. Say next. Then go with the group ID. I'm saying Spring. These values are our wish. Artifact ID Spring project package com.spring. Then click on finish button. That's it. The package will get created. Let me document how to create project. Click on file, new Maven project. Click next. In catalog, select internal. In artifact ID, select Maven-archetype quick start. Click next. It will ask you the group ID. I'm going with Spring. Artifact ID, project name, Spring project, package com.spring, and click finish. That's it, which creates the project. Now, once we create the Maven project, what is the important file in Maven projects? pom.xml file. So in this pom.xml file, we need to add the project dependencies. So which dependency we need to add? For every module, we are having different dependency. So whichever the module you want to use in your project, only those dependencies we can add. That is one more beauty of Spring here. Okay. So now I want to go with only this core or bean module. Then we have to add only one dependency here. That is, add the following dependency in between dependencies element of pom.xml file of Spring project. So the dependencies what we need to add here is just to search here Spring context Maven dependency. Open this link Maven repository. Copy this piece of code and paste it here. In between dependencies element, we have to paste it. Right? That's it, one dependency. If you add this dependency, see in Maven dependencies, you can see so many jar files got added into the project here. So just copy and paste work. Just copy and paste from my pom.xml file. This completes our setup. Any questions, anyone up to here? Now, let us go with the bean classes. Create a Spring Bean class. We call it a Spring Bean class. It's a ordinary class like a Java Bean class. Create a Spring Bean class book in com.spring package. Create a Spring Bean class book in com.spring package. of src main Java folder of Spring project. Create one more bin class. Create a Spring bin class library in com.spring package library. Let us create these two files. Under src main Java, you can see the package com.spring. Right click on com.spring and it's a new class book. Here we are going with the properties. Private int book id, private string book name. Now we want to give value to these properties, so we go with a constructor. So let's create a constructor, public book, which takes book id, then book name as arguments. Then we'll say this dot book id equal to book id, this dot book name equal to book name. So we are using what here? A constructor. We are using a constructor to give the value to properties. Then we call constructor injection. We call it as what? Constructor injection. Then when a class contains parameterized constructor, it is a responsibility of the programmer to create a default constructor. That's it. Book class is ready. Now create library. Create a new class, library. In this library class, go with a property, book. This we call property. Now let us generate setters and getters. Right click and say source, generate getters and setters. Select all, generate. So we are using a setter method to give the value to property. Then we call setter injection. Right as what? Setter injection. Right. Now the bin classes are ready. Spring bin classes are ready now. Right. Now we have to create objects of book class and library class. In the case of Spring, programmer will not create objects here. Means in Java program we want to create objects of book class and library class. So where to create? In Spring Bin XML file. When you create in Spring Bin XML file, Spring framework will take care of creating objects to us. When Spring is creating objects, the lifecycle of object is taken care by Spring. Means once the object usage is complete, Spring will take care of making that objects ready for garbage collection. So programmer need not worry about garbage collection over here. Okay. How to create this XML file? That is the main concept of today's class. So create Spring Bin XML configuration file. I'm going with the name library.xml. Any name. The name can be anything, but .xml in src main Java folder. Library.xml. Let us create this file. This is the major piece of code. Now we have to right click on src main Java and say new other. Go to XML file. Let us go with the name library.xml. Choose the source tab. Now here we have to follow the templates. So I'll be sharing the template, that is Spring Bin XML configuration file template. I'll be sharing. Copy this piece of code and paste it here. Remove this code and paste here. So the root tag of Spring Bin XML configuration file is beans. Beans is the root tag. Now start writing the code. So we have to start like this. Bin ID equal to lib. Class equal to com.spring.library. Meaning in the test class, when you refer to the bin ID lib, Spring will create object of library class. What Spring is going to do, it's going to create object of library class, and that object will be returned. Then, now observe, in library class, how many properties do we have? Only one property. And how we are giving value to property? Setter injection. So when you are giving value to setter injection, then here we have to use the element property. Property name equal to, what is the name of the property? Book. Since this book is one more bean, we have to write like this. Bean means simple words, it's a class. So we have to write again bean id equal to book. It's an object of class form.spring.book. Right? So in library we are having a property book. Since it's a bean again, so again we have to write bean id equal to book class com.spring.book. Then in book class, how many properties do we have? Two properties. And how we are giving value to property? Constructor injection. So when you are giving value to property using constructor injection, then here we have to use constructor arg. Constructor arg value equal to 111. Constructor arg value equal to learn spring. That's it. So this only we call injecting one object into another. So when you create object of library, this book object will be created and this object will be injected to your library. So this only we call dependency. This, since library is dependent on book, book is injected to library. This is the way to write the code for this. Clear this code up to here? Now, when you create this bean, inside this one more bean, then this will become like local. Means I can use this book bean only inside this library. Outside I cannot use. So if I want to make it global, make this bin outside, create this bin outside here like this separately. Then this property book should refer to this bin. How to refer is by using attribute reference equal to book. Reference equal to book. That's it. Here when you refer here lib creates object of library with a property book. Since we refer book, it will come to this id book. So this reference and id should match. Okay, whatever the id we have given, that reference only we have to provide here. Then it comes to this book id book, creates object of book class with these two values, book id 111, book name learn spring. These values will get injected to this property book. Right? Now, in reality, will library will have only one book or multiple books? In library, will you go with one book or multiple books? Multiple, right? Then how to manage multiple? Using a list. Manage multiple data, I'm going with books list here. Okay, list of books. Import the package for list, java.util. Now generate setters and getters. Set books, which takes a list of books as argument, then get books, which returns the list of book. So same, we are using setter injection here. Coming to XML file, so let us create multiple books here. We are creating multiple book beans like book 1, book 2 and book 3. Provide the values for book ID and book name. So let us change the values here. So we are creating totally 3 books here. Now let us inject these 3 books into your library property. So what is the name of the property here? Books. The name of the property is what here? Books. Since this books property is a list, books is what? It is a list. We have to use elemental list. Then to this list, we need to add these 3 books. How to add is like this. Reference being equal to book 1. then book 1 will get added to your books property. Similar way, reference bin equal to book 2, reference bin equal to book 3, right? So we are adding these 3 books to your books property. That's it. Your code is completed here. Your XML file is ready now. Now, let us test our application, the final step. Create a test class, library test in com.spring package. This we need to run. Go with the last step. Right click on com.spring and say new class library test. Main method. Now in this test class, the first step is we need to load our Spring Bean XML configuration file. How to load Spring Bean XML configuration file is by using the interface application context. Application context equal to the implementation of application context interface is done by using a class, new class path XML application context. Application context equal to the implementation of application context is done using a class, new class path, the XML application context. To this we need to pass our XML file, library.xml. Import the packages. Once we refer to this library.xml, now we have to get the bin like this, library lib equal to context.getBin lib. When you write the code context.getBin lib, goes to this library.xml file, sees the bin id lib. This we have to refer. This lib we have to provide here. This one. So when you say context.getBin lib goes to XML file, sees the bin id lib, then your Spring will create object of library class with a property books of type list. And these 3 books will get added to your books list. Then your property is ready with values. So setter method will get invoked here. This method will get invoked. So when this method is invoked, your books property is ready with values. So that these many steps will happen when you just call context.getBin lib. Since getBin method returns object, the type of getBin is return object, but you are assigning to library, go with typecasting. That's it. Your object is ready with values. Now invoke this getter method. So you can say list book equal to lib.getBooks. That's it. So when you call the method lib.getBooks, it returns the list of books into the books property. Then import the package. Now traverse your books. How to traverse? For book b colon books and print the object b here. That's it. We are traversing this list books here. So when we run, it's going to return the class name along with hash code. So already we know this because whenever you print objects in SPOP, which method gets invoked here? ToString. So go to book class, override ToString method. Where we return book ID and space book name. That's it. So when we run, we get the list of books displayed on our console. Clear all of you the first application using Spring? So you won't feel the beauty of Spring today. Today we have just learned how to write XML file. That's the main thing. So in the next class, when we come to Spring JDBC module, there you feel the real picture of Spring framework. Why people are using Spring. What burden is reduced to the developers. That we will be understanding in the next class only when I go with Spring JDBC module. And when we come to Spring Boot module, lot of burden is reduced again to the developers. So nowadays everyone is using Spring Boot only, but the coding what we do in Spring Boot is again related to Spring only. So if you are having background of Spring, then only we can understand Spring Boot module, right? So compulsory, please practice this. Spring is very, very important. You have to practice this compulsory, right? Then in the next class, we go with the next module, Spring JDBC module.